I'm gonna go get another mimosa and I'll be back.
Yeah.
I should be drinking at this point,
Stream
honestly.
juice.
How come you didn't get any sleep, Criken?
It's, well, to be honest, Bree has been continuing to play that game. And so went to bed late, and then she woke me up to see the inauguration, which I'm glad she did, because she was still awake. So I got to see that. And then I was up, and I couldn't sleep. So I was like, all right, time to start the day. And that was at like 8:30. So.
Oh, wow. That's early for you.
Yep. Just when you sleep at 5:30. So.
Jeez.
I take it back. I actually think the popping of a champagne bottle is fitting audio for the podcast itself, so I'm going to do that later.
Great.
Do you guys mind if we go live?
Yeah, let's
Not at
do
all.
it.
Okay, clicking. Truth be told, Criken, I'm probably going to include the narration of the start of your day in the cut of the podcast. So that's hidden material, audio listeners or YouTube listeners, unless you don't want me to. Then it won't.
No, it's okay.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Well, no. Oh shit, man, the tone has told me everything I need. Well, never
It's
mind
whatever.
that. Then there's hidden talk to the internet podcast material on the cutting room floor out in the ether. And if you sign up to our
They'll never know the
Patreon,
start of my day. Yeah,
No one will
I will
ever know.
leak all of what Criken said about the start of his day on the Patreon. Imagine if you made a Patreon all about recording private conversations with your friends and leaking them. I guess you just lose friends very fast, and it wouldn't really go
you're
anywhere.
talking about journalism, dog.
It's
Oh,
funny.
shit.
My idea was actually to do that with a bunch of people from like old friends from Machinima and stuff, and get us all wasted, record a podcast, and then never air it. Like, because I know what we would all say, and we could never talk about what we talk about. So,
Huh. Well,
Yep.
So is it just like on some forbidden USB stick in a lockbox somewhere?
I
Theoretically.
mean, it doesn't
like a
exist.
mutual
but
blackmail
yes.
thing. That's a fun
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, when it's one of those things where like I feel like if you waited 10 years, you could then release it. You know,
No,
because then
not in
at that
this,
point,
not in this culture. I don't know about 10 years from now, but you're
Well, maybe-
always on
maybe
the
they-
hook with the internet.
maybe it'll get get better. Maybe culture will be, I don't know, not as
forgiving.
cancelly. Yeah, not as
Yeah.
cancelly.
Who knows?
Nah, who knows?
I don't think that's an interesting idea, because what would it turn into? The people so to me, and this is purely my perception, but to me, cancel culture is driven off this wonderful and if you want to be generous, idealistic notion that morality can be very binary, that a bad act is a bad act, and we don't have to consider context, and we don't have to consider people changing and aging, and once somebody does a bad thing, they're a bad person, blah, 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 blah. So it's like, I feel like any softening of that will also be by very hard rules. So, as the arbiter of morality on the internet, allow me to hold internet court.
Please do.
What is the statute of limitations on dumb shit you say on the internet? Like, how old does it have to be?
That
No,
depends
Bruce!
on how dumb it is, right?
No, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear context, Bruce. I am the
there's no
arbiter of the
ru-
internet. We're going to make rules because rules are very easy to figure out. They're very easy to arbitrate.
All right, Lawrence, here it is. 7.5 years.
And a half.
There you go.
Okay.
7.5 years.
I say 5 years, and I say that you're an asshole for saying 7.5.
Okay, all right. Well, whatever you want, man.
Well, I'm
You're
gonna
the
go to my
arbiter.
Twitter feed.
I can't believe Bruce is pardoning people that said something 7.5 years from now. I can't.
Oh, you're already
believe it,
canceling.
dude.
You're canceling me for this. I haven't even talked about it.
canceling
I'm
you
not even
for-
the arbiter. I'm not the arbiter
Actually,
of the internet.
it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that 7.5 years thing, because I was streaming legitimately last night, and it was a great stream. I was having a great time. I was playing with my buddy, and then this guy just popped in a chat. I never acknowledged him at the moment because I didn't want to bring down the mood, but he kept spamming that he found like a comment that I made on a random video
Great.
from
Good.
literally 2012 and was like,
All right. Okay,
this
good.
is vaguely offensive and I'm not going to let you live it down. And it was
Great.
like, he kept spamming it and trying to post the link, and the mods were like, dude, what are you like, what is your mission objective here? Like, this is literally just fucking, what, a 9-year-old video comment? It's just,
Yep.
ugh.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've been on like, this is over the course of me being on a bunch of different content over the last few years. But if I was on content with other people, for example, I got tweeted and I was like, hey, I'm going to be on a podcast with blank and blank and blank. And then people on Twitter would reply to that tweet and somebody that was on the podcast with me,
Oh yeah.
would be like, this person said this 8 years ago. Like,
Yep.
they should be held accountable right
Yeah.
now. And I'm like, should they? And like, I went and did my research on like a couple of those because I was like, I'm gonna go check. And generally the people apologized. So I was kind of like, if they apologized and then continued to make content and people continued to support them, I don't know what else to do there. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And in the situation of like a YouTube comment on a random video from when you were 14, like at 14, we're all saying dumb shit that is not, you shouldn't be held accountable for the rest of your life. Like, if that's how you want to live your life, you're like, everyone is shitty. Like, and everyone should deserve to be canceled. It's just, I hate what's become of that stuff.
It's really interesting. It's they're unfortunately for the arbiter of the internet, there has to be context.
How dare you?
I'm sorry, Lawrence. I'm sorry.
How dare you? Can you fit context into a tweet? Because if you can't, then I don't have time for it.
Well, thankfully, Twitter increased their character count from 100 and whatever, 130 to 260 or whatever it was.
Was that the philosophical intention of that? So to provide greater context and allow people to expound on their words?
Who knows?
Yeah, there's a hell of a thing if you go on this internet of ours and try to say something out loud. How people will check every single word you use and every single phrase and pick it over it. And for some people, it's a hobby, and I get that. And I think maybe that's the thing to keep in mind. Is that every sitcom had the I'm thinking about WandaVision, but every sitcom has the gossipy neighbor their hobby.
Yeah.
You know, their hobby is to drum up things to be upset about or things to be interested in. So, you know, there are some people for whom all this stuff is just a hobby. It's kind of important to remember that, I think, which sucks and it's dehumanizing when you know you're streaming and having a good time, and then somebody approaches you like, you know, you're just basically like a sock monkey of entertainment. If they just thump you on the ear enough, something fun will happen. Yeah, that's the internet, man. Like, people get to do that. That's just part of it. What are you going to do? As the arbiter of the internet, am I to rule that is not allowed? Perhaps I can.
No.
I mean. So here's the fun back and forth, Criken, because I understand exactly the situation you're in. Somebody is being an insurgent or an adjutant in chat, and by virtue of that, they're demanding attention. You have to address it, but then you're putting undue attention on someone who's seeking it for negative reasons, but you have to deal with it.
Right.
And if you just ban them without saying anything, that invites further conversation.
Guilty. They're like, wait a minute, he never he didn't address that. Like, that must mean it's true. And then it's like, okay,
yeah.
and then it's a rabbit hole where
so you gotta deal
winning.
with it. You gotta do the dance, right? You gotta let it happen for a while. Let everyone get annoyed with it, so then you can come in and be like, everyone's annoyed at this. Let's deal with it. But if you just snap it out, like, if you look mean, if you jump right to that position without letting things play out, I don't know. And then then it's like, man, it's politics. You gotta appreciate how it looks from everyone's perspective and do what's right at the right time for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. And people know that. Like, people that come into chat, sorry, I'm eating cantaloupe right now. People that come into chat and they act up know that you have to play a script, and if you don't, then that gives them ammunition that they can use against you. And it gets weird. It's such a strange. Yeah, see, Yipper in my chat, I always give the trolls a chance. I do, because I like the art of trolling. I think it's, to some degree, that's a meta video game of life.
It is. Yeah, it totally is.
So I like to see what the game is. I like to feel the flow chart out a little bit. I like to stay current.
I have been absolutely on a tear recently, because at this point now, if you're going to troll me, I'm going to respond to you, and not because I know you're going to get negative, whatever, blah 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 blah, but I'm not going to give you any attention. So what I mean is, I'll reply to you in the forum that we're in, Twitter, Reddit, whatever. But what's interesting about this is that I've noticed that the people who are not necessarily trolling will take it to DMs. This is something that I've noticed, where I'll reply to them, and then when they realize, I'm not going to sit there and call them names or shit on them or whatever, then they take it to DMs and they're like, hey man, I'm really sorry. There's this and this and this, but I see your perspective. It's much more measured. And that is a weird thing that I don't ever get to talk about or show. Because I don't bring those DMs to Twitter or Reddit, right? I'm not going to do that. I instead address them where they are. But that happens a lot. So it's fun to see who's a troll and who is actually out there like trying to get me, you know?
All I learned from that story is that you have open DMs, which is crazy
absolutely.
to me.
Yeah. I have open DMs because of this very this aspect, right? So like I've always said, I like to engage the fans because I really do. I love to talk to everybody. I love to talk to everybody, positive, negative, right down the middle, whatever else. That has always been my favorite part of making content on the internet. However, in the last few years, especially since the discourse has just plummeted, I mean, partially due, in fact, to the person we had as president for the last few years, and I just lowering the discourse for everybody. I in my opinion, now it's no longer a discourse. Now it's just like, well, you said this thing and you're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And that's not an argument or a debate. That's just you insulting me. And actually, that means that you lost the debate. Generally, when you're in, and that was something I learned very early on in a little debate class I had to take in like elementary school, way back, was if you were insulting people in a debate, you lost. That's it. That's the end of it.
Yeah, it's desperate. That's just what it is.
Yeah. So I've been really trying to, like, again, sort of take people where they are, but then also kind of remind them, like, hey, we're all human beings here. Like, even though you're behind a keyboard and no one will ever know that you typed this, try to conduct yourself like you and I are speaking to each other in person or even on the phone.
Yeah.
Imagine that you're talking to me about something that you are passionate about and that I am passionate about, and let's have a debate, an argument, a discourse, whatever, a discussion, and then maybe we can add a little civility to what we've been doing. I don't know.
Yeah, not to harp on, I mean, we've kind of sidestepped politics as much as we can in our careers and online stuff. But, you know, today being the inauguration day for President Biden, I actually woke up early, which is part of the thing at the beginning of the podcast that wasn't on air. Or maybe it was. I don't know. I don't know what Lawrence decides to do with the cut.
It's locked behind the Patreon.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was.
It's in the vault.
I got up at 8:30, which is unheard of for me, getting only 3 hours of sleep because I went to sleep at 5 because I'm a degenerate. And I got to see the inauguration, and I was really happy I got to see that. But, you know, I know I don't want to linger on politics, but I will say I really appreciated the message of President Biden's opening speech be about unity, and he really drove that home. That was like, I don't know how many times he said unity, but a lot. But I think he addressed a lot of the things people were worried about, and both sides of the fence. And he didn't have to do that. You know, he could have kind of further staked the claim that, you know, we're back and we're gonna undo all the wrongs of the past, and like everyone that was against us is the enemy. But he was very mild with that rhetoric, and I think was very holistically interested in healing and bringing everyone together again, which honestly it's been so long since I heard that language coming from someone in power that I was really touched to hear it. And
it's really great. Yeah.
So I'm hopeful for the first time in a long time, I think, in the future of this country. This isn't a political podcast. I don't want to get into it, but
I'm going to go produce a sound
touched me.
effect that matches my emotions. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah. All right. I know what Lawrence is going to do. So allow me to take the other perspective here, too, because, Criken, I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to imagine that I was on the other side of the fence watching this inauguration, and I'm going to imagine, Joe Biden's bullshitting us, right? He's lying. He's just saying the things that we want to hear, but in reality, this is all a lie. I'm going to tell you what, I'd rather hear that. I would rather hear somebody saying something about unity and compassion and, us all living together and trying to make this a better world than people being actively divisive. I would rather hear somebody who you think is possibly lying talk about unity than someone who's being honest and being like, fuck the other side. So that's the way I feel.
It's an olive branch, no matter what way you look at it. And so it's kind of, balls in everyone's court on how they deal with it. But I don't know. I'm happy that it was a de-escalation for the first time in 4 years instead of an escalation.
Exactly. It was great. Lawrence just popped a.
Well, not yet. You'll hear it.
Oh no, you haven't done it. Okay,
I'm
all right.
working
I
on
wasn't
it.
sure.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you bring that up because I don't know. I see parallels in things. I feel like there's a lot to be said about, you're talking about how it's nice to hear the language of de-escalation and the language of empathy for once. If you had gotten up there and said, "Hey, Republicans, you got a bullseye on your ass and we're coming for it," like that would energize some people, but not in the right way. And it, even if it's what he meant, and for one thing or another, perhaps the only virtue of the sociopath we no longer have to deal with is the man always said what he meant. He was always exactly as disgusting and vicious as he was, and he never for a second tried to hide it, which is confusing when people try to make excuses for him. But there's still something valuable, even if it's like a wake up sheeple thing, of just like being surrounded by people who are even pretending to be pleasant and civilized. It really does mean something, and I think that does kind of relate back to some degree to the role or the precedent you have to set, or even the responsibility you have when there's a chat happening, and they hear the words that you say, and they hear the words that they perceive the way that you interact with people. So if somebody comes by and you come to a snap judgment in your head that they're a troll, and you just ban them right away, and you don't even like let that whole scene play out, that political scene, it can create it can send the wrong message to certain people. It can create an atmosphere of like snap judgment. It can create an atmosphere of like, oh, so we don't listen to people here. They say one thing and you just ban them. Like people see that, and whether or not it's okay. I think the behavior you demonstrate is important, even if sometimes it does feel kind of like you're going through the motions with people who don't deserve that amount of patience. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hey!
Oh, there it is.
That's a good day. We don't got to worry about those things for a minute.
That's right.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I know it's really tough, and I know we're always kind of preaching to the choir on this podcast because I know a lot of people that listen to it and watch it and stuff clearly are fans of ours, and we're all relatively measured individuals usually. But I do always kind of want to say this whenever I get a chance, which is just imagine whatever you're saying on the internet, whether or not you're in a Twitch chat or on a YouTube comment or you're tweeting somebody that you love or hate or whatever else. Imagine you're standing in front of them in person. Just do that. Because if you would say that kind of thing to them in person, like a complete stranger usually, then okay, cool, all right. Then I guess you and I can stand on the same platform here and talk to each other. But just imagine that it's not anonymous. That's to me is the most important thing, because imagine that what you say can then also be traced back to you, because it can, by the way. It is all being saved on a hard drive somewhere. Yeah. And people are going to go back to it. And it's what was hilarious just the other day. This is a great, really quick troll story. I had a troll come into one of my, I can't remember what game I was playing, but they were trolling me about the way I was playing the game, whatever, the normal Twitch backseat thing. And I recognized their name, and I was like, wait a second, hold on a minute. Why did you always come in here and talk shit about this one game that I'm playing? Like, and you're saying things that I know aren't true, and I know you've been here before. And this guy immediately was like, I have never been here before. You think I'm someone else. This is ridiculous. Well, my mods had a record of this dude coming in and trolling me.
You can click on their name and immediately see all messages that, like, it's not even hard. It's literally a feature of Twitch. It's like,
right there.
That's just the worst lie possible.
It's right there. And the mods found it, and they're like, because I thought I was like, oh no, shit, did I fuck up? Like, I was like, is this guy somebody new that and I was like, oh man, oh fuck. And the mods were like, no, this guy's been here 100 times before. He has been doing this. And he disappeared.
Well, imagine it's like Among Us, somebody walks in on you killing a body and you're like, I didn't do that. Just because, because it's a game. Like your interest, I almost feel like in some way, and this is again, me probably being way too kind, but sometimes I feel certain trolls are just really testing the boundaries of societal interaction. Like they're 12 and 13-year-olds who are just like, I wonder what happens if.
Absolutely.
I think that's totally fair. I mean,
But it's
not
our-
all trolls are like that, but
yeah, some are professional. Which,
Right, but-
which, by the way, if you want to be a pro troll, now you understand. You got to take it to DM and try and explain yourself.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
you know how to get Bruce's goose, dude. You just go to his DMs and
doesn't make me mad.
convince
It
him
doesn't-
that you're a good person, and then you're like, surprise, I wasn't. And he's gonna be like,
actually an asshole all along.
It doesn't make
I
me
give
mad.
you
It's actually,
the doubt. And he's gonna be like, yeah, that'll teach you to trust humans.
it's totally the opposite. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Well, now you actually want to be a human being. Like, that's what it boils down to. Is like, now you want to have a chat, which is okay. I'll have a chat with you. But, you know, you getting onto a forum and be like, you're fucking stupid and I hate your guts. And boy, man, you're all you want is blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right. Like, you're just bullshitting. You're just saying a bunch of shit so that you get some upvotes. I'm like, that's cute. That's really cute.
People have a powerful ability to separate what in their heads is like theater and what is real to them. And what's fascinating is when the two completely overlap. So somebody can, I don't know, do a thing like go into like trespass on federal territory and then get shocked that that's a crime. Because in their heads, they were in theater mode. They were like, oh, this is Twitter. I'm doing the Twitter thing right now. But no, you're in real life. A lot of things are in real life. And growing up on the internet, I can't imagine how difficult that boundary must be to really establish. It probably doesn't even exist anymore. Especially when like internet can lead into real life stuff like getting swatted or harassed or doxxed or whatever. So yeah, it's sheesh. Sometimes you just want to like air horn somebody and be like, yo, this is real life and these are all people. You just thought these were all NPCs. These are not chatbots. These are people. But Bruce, I'm curious about this.
Yes, sir.
Because so much of this feels very similar to retail and to some degree where you're just like, man, if just everybody could not be an utter asswipe. It's very easy to not be the world's biggest dickhole, but you came in here and you did that. Like you dedicated your day, your evening, all of your energy into just being a total shitwipe right now in front of me. And you didn't have to do that. I would have helped you out. Like, this could have been so much easier. And I feel like to some degree that's like some Twitch energy, something, but like the way the system is structured is that people are allowed to do it. As shitty as it is, there's no law against it.
No, it's true, yeah.
And the way I always justified it in my head is like, that's what I'm getting paid for, to just get, like, I'm here to actually, check people out and earn revenue for a giant corporation that doesn't know I exist. But at the same time, part of the job is just getting shit on, because that's just the job. There's no rule against it, and that's just where it is. And if you get
100%.
mad about it, your manager's like, what do you want me to do? And there it is.
Yeah.
So I feel to some degree, Twitch streaming, it's not great, it's not right, but it is part of the job, as far as I consider it. But for Bruce, for you and Criken, this is kind of the question I wanted to drive to. It took me a long time to get there, but
No, that's good.
what parts do you consider, the work, the job of the noble profession of streaming? Because for me, doing the dance, right? Like navigating trolls properly and making sure that they don't ruin everyone else's good time. I feel like that's one of the skills you have to learn to do the job. The rest of it is fun, like playing games, Bruce, like you said, talking to people, getting to know about their lives and their days and
great.
stuff. It's so enriching, and it's not fair to get paid for that, as far as I'm concerned. But when you gotta like, okay, we got a little problem child now. Let's get you a juice box. Let's put you in the corner. Like, that's when you have to kind of know your stuff and demonstrate a skill. And the difference in how that's handled, I think, does kind of demonstrate a good stream that can maybe be a bad stream. And that's something I'm still figuring out. Not saying I'm mastered at it, but so that's where my head's at. I'm curious what you guys think is the skills that you need, that behind the scenes is what you consider the actual work.
I want to hear Criken, because Criken's been doing it for way longer than both of us.
I mean, there's a lot of different factors of the job, but I think at its core, you can kind of boil it down to preserving the atmosphere, the energy, and the kind of culture that you're trying to build for your community. And if that's one that's like a super respectful one where everyone is, checking in with each other and saying hi and like being friendly, as a lot of people try to do, then when you have the errant troll or person that's like causing trouble, how to sidestep that and not let it affect that continuity of the broadcast and the community is, I think, the part of the job is like how to let that kind of roll off your back while still keeping the show going. Versus, you know, if you're making a community that's like all about competitive nature and like you're trying to be very like kind of, you have like a very kind of love-hate relationship with your chat, then like that's a different kind of style, and you need to, you know, learn how to duck and weave with the punches to keep the show going and the energy, you know, entertaining, and not let any one bad interaction drag the whole thing down. Which is exhausting, honestly.
It is,
you know,
yeah.
different personality types, I think, deal with it in different ways and kind of foster different communities as a result. But yeah, I think at its core, that's like the main job, quote unquote, of a Twitch streamer is how to let themselves be themselves. And sometimes that means like if you're having a bad day and a troll comes in and starts tanking your mood, then like you got to cut your losses, and that either means like removing them from the equation as quickly as possible, or like maybe ending stream and saying like, sorry guys, you know, I don't want to jeopardize the content and, you know, the energy here, so I'm going to take off and like we'll come back later. That's one of the hardest decisions for a streamer to make, is because you have to do it on the fly. You're live. There's no pause, let me think about this and come back later. It's like, you know, can I keep going or do I need to stop? Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
That's really good advice. I haven't gotten to that point yet where I've had to like stop the stream and be like, never mind. But there have been times where I have wrapped up early on purpose, because I was like, all right. Well, clearly the negativity that surrounds this chat is too much. So I'm going to like, I'll find a good spot to end, but I'm going to end early. But there's also a part of me that wants to not give them that, right? There's something really, really satisfying for me about converting somebody. It's like somebody who's coming in and having a bad day, like, and is like clearly coming in just to like sort of blow off some steam and be an asshole. And I've seen this happen a couple of times where like they'll come in and like insult people and insult me and all this other stuff. And like, if I'm like, hey man, let's actually have a talk. This doesn't happen a lot, but it happens occasionally. That person will then turn into a human being in chat. And then all of chat celebrates. We are all like, yeah, man, you did it. Like, you're a normal person now on the internet. It's basically like being converted to Christianity. It's like, you know, like before they were
you've de-weaponized them. Yeah.
Yeah. Before they were a demon, and now all of a sudden, hey, we brought them into the fold. Like, you know, don't worry, man. It's okay. Like, if you come in here and say, fuck, man, my girlfriend just broke up with me, I'm having a really bad day, none of us are going to shit on you. We're all going to be like, fuck. We know how that feels. That's really shitty. Hopefully we can distract you a little bit with this entertainment. In the meantime, I know people in chat are here if you want to talk, or if like you want to DM a few people or whatever. Like, we're all kind of like, we'll rally around you. And that's the sort of community that I like to foster. But also, I'm not going to take your shit. Like, I'm not. I'm just not. And whenever I say like, hey, you know, talk to somebody the way you would talk to them in person, I absolutely would talk to you the way I'm talking to you now. Like, my demeanor is not going to change on Twitch versus in real life. If you ever come up to me and the first thing you say is, man, you're fucking stupid for that tweet, I'd be like, what? I'm like, wait, hold on. Let's talk about this. You know, like, let's figure this shit out. It's just interesting because I don't, you know, I think the internet, obviously, while magical and amazing and terrific and able for me to make content for the last 15 years or more, is also, boy, oh boy, it is cursed. Like, it is really causing a lot of bad habits for the people that are growing up on it. And I'm just like, I think, Lawrence, you said, you asked me a question earlier, like sort of to the effect of, why are you doing this? And anything that I do, whether or not it's managing Inside Gaming and Funhouse, or working at G4 and Attack of the Show, or, you know, whatever, any other job I had, what, the YMCA, or doesn't matter. I want to improve the scenario. I like to come in and try to improve. And so when I'm Twitch streaming, I want to come in and improve what a Twitch chat should be. That's my goal. Hey, we're all human, just like the rest of you, and we're going to have bad days too. So there's going to be times where I'm not going to look like I'm having a lot of fun or whatever, and that's because I'm having a bad day too. So it's all about cutting people slack too. That's another thing, like if people are kind of like a little salty, whatever else, just cut them a little slack. Just cut them a little slack. It's we'll see what happens if you cut somebody a little slack. But
yeah, it's something else. That's the arbiter of the internet. I feel terrible acknowledging this, but yeah, people have whole lives, whole days, whole series of events that drive them to the internet to express themselves in that 1 second. And typically it's the 1 second when something horrible isn't happening to them. It's the second after that, because when you're in a car wreck or your mom's in the hospital, you're not diving over the table to get your phone so that you can jump into a Twitch chat and be shitty to somebody. Or maybe you are. Maybe that's just your coping process. But yeah, it's that's the dance. That's the okay, somebody's being shitty. Let's give them an opportunity to get out of their system. Is this just a chip on your shoulder and you got to yell until it falls off, and then it's okay, hey, what's going on? Or is it this is just what you do, and that middle gap where you're not sure. Sometimes that's the process that's interesting to me, because Bruce, you talk about social rehabilitation. That is pretty intoxicating, to bring somebody back from just lashing out at people in chat, at the person behind the camera, to just maybe it's one of the things that maybe this is the gift of age, is that sometimes you interact with somebody and you're just dang, you're angry, and you just have to wait for it to burn off, and they're okay, now we can talk. But yeah, in the past, I never even had that reaction. It was you're angry? Well, I'm angrier. Fuck you. And then,
Well, that's what you do. I mean, when you're younger, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Because that's for sure what I did when I was younger. I mean, I think back and I'm man, what was I doing? It's just hopefully you get better at being a human when you get older. But that's 100%, Lawrence. That's that is not unique to you, man. That's something that I think we've all probably done. At one point in our lives, especially when we were younger, because you've got fucking boner rage.
Hell yeah. What is this boner? What do I do? Oh, it's testosterone. Oh, Exit the House says, what about de-incellification? That's the final boss. Well, oof.
Oh man.
That's a whole thing. That touches that is cycles of sociology well beyond my comprehension, I think. I'd have to
me too.
I'd have to tackle that in earnest for a couple decades, I think.
Incellification?
De-incel,
so
the angry,
not being an incel.
Oh yeah. That's an onion. That's an onion and a half right there. That's a tough puppy to peel. I don't know, man. I got thoughts on it, but there's a lot of societal layers to it that got it to where it is, and I think each of them have to kind of be systematically fixed before it starts making a difference. That's the sad part, is it's kind of self-reinforcing until the factors that made it up are dissolved, and that's going to take years, and I don't see it going anywhere for a little while.
I think we're not therapists either. Psychologists, so it's that stuff.
Yeah.
That's the real shit,
I'm not prescribed. I'm just observing what I've seen and what I understand of based on my own upbringing and what I know of I don't know, masculinity and stuff. I think you can make some inferences, but yeah, we're not by no means have we studied or have a degree on this stuff, which you basically need to unpack all the baggage that's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, as much as there are a bunch of YouTube talking heads hungry and waiting for, I guess in this case, angry young men to filter into YouTube to get some kind of emotional guidance, I do in my heart kind of feel like there is another side to that, where young dudes who are trying to figure out how to process their emotions or whatever, they do actually have access to instances of grown adult men talking about their feelings in a responsible way. I'm not saying that this is one of them. I'm not claiming heroship right now. I'll do that for other reasons. But there's there's something pretty cool and exciting about that idea, because when I was younger and struggling to process my emotions about anything, all I had was the emotional honesty of the Christian church, and that was not the best guide, really, especially in like conservative Texas. So it's interesting to me to reflect on now, if I were 14 years old and could see it, like even examples of dudes, adult men, speaking practically about their feelings in a way that doesn't depict them as weak or too overly feely or whatever. It's not the taciturn male lead in every action movie that I'm looking up to. I think there is some validity to that. And I've seen examples of, and this is mostly through the lens of reality TV, so who knows how actually real it is. But I've seen examples of kids who are 16 and 17 speaking with like emotional eloquence that is far beyond anything they should have at that age. They're able to not only articulate how they feel, but actually like properly summarize and articulate the crazy emotions and actions of their parents. And I kind of vibe with that in some way, but it's also a show about crazy parents. So who knows what gasoline's going into that mix. But it's been pretty crazy to see the Zoomers, the Gen Zs run around with wild amounts of awareness of...
Yeah, introspection, I think, is like one of the more underrated qualities and kind of characteristics that you can foster when you're growing up. I personally felt like I was a very introspective kid, and it was overwhelming as fuck at times because I would be trapped in my own head for so long. But at the same time, I came to know myself really well. And so, I was, even though I wasn't outwardly emotional and expressive, I think, as much as I should have been, and like most guys are, I think I could make sense of what was going on a bit better, or at least like I had my own... I knew myself pretty well. And so when it came time to actually enter the world, like I could rationalize how I process things based on how I knew I was growing up. I don't know where I'm going with this, but like, I don't know. I feel like it's not a thing that's encouraged. Like you're kind of constantly pushed to be outward and not really like take some time to like know yourself. And so especially when you're growing up as a kid, I can only speak from the perspective of a young male, so I don't really know if this applies to everyone, but I definitely felt like so much my upbringing was like do team sports, like go be this and that and like don't talk to anyone about how you are and who you are, just like this is who you should be. And so I think I am like naturally a rebellious against like authority. I have like that in my DNA. So when I was told to keep doing these things, I was like, nah, screw that. I know better. And then like I became more self-aware because of that. So I don't know. I lucked out in that way, I guess. That's one of the few times that being counter-establishment ended up, helping my development. But
I was the same way. I was totally the same way. By the way, I'm not trying to interrupt. I wanted you to finish, Criken.
No, I'm happy to hear your experience.
It's interesting to hear all of our experiences because they're so vastly different. Like I was brought up in the church, and honestly, my church experience was terrific. I know Lawrence and I've talked about this before, but like I feel so bad for Lawrence because your experience was such a bummer and mine was not. Granted, I was not in conservative Southern Baptist Texas. I was out here in California, so it was probably a little more liberal church experience than I think most people would assume. But regardless, it's like what Criken said, as I was for some reason also anti-establishment and like anti-authority, and my parents didn't put that into me. I don't know where I got that from, and it was something that it was always for me. Every day I was questioning authority, and I'm still doing that. But every day I was questioning authority. Like 8-year-old Bruce was questioning like what his teacher was saying. And I'm like, oh my, like, why was I doing that? And I would come home and my parents would be like, you gotta like, and sometimes they'd be like, hey, you might've been right about this, but don't question your teachers. Like, even if you were right about it and you were young, like just let them do the thing,
Yeah.
And, so it's interesting to hear your guys' sides of this. And also I was actually very I was taught to be outwardly expressive with my feelings. My parents were very welcoming and accepting of that. I got very lucky with that. They wanted me to tell them when I was having a bad day or a good day, or that, you know, they wanted me to celebrate and also feel bad with me and stuff like that. So they were great about that. But truly, even though I feel like I had some pretty good upbringing, there were still so many problems that I can look back on now, and I don't think any of them were really exposed to me explicitly up until I went to therapy. I went to therapy when I was 25. And when I first went, I was like, oh my goodness gracious, what the fuck was I doing? So many problems. And I mean, I'm still doing it now. I'm still like off and on going to therapy because it's great.
Yeah.
You are still constantly learning, and there is a method. There's a method that everyone should try and employ when you're trying to have empathy and you're trying to be a good human. And you learn that stuff and you get to practice it in therapy. And at least for me, it worked great. So I always recommend that. But I don't necessarily think that's, you know, who knows? It may not be for everybody, but for most people, I think it's great.
Yeah. What have you got to lose? You might
Definitely
have
worth
money.
trying.
Yeah, money. There's also money and time.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that you can't get back, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a big deterrent for a lot of people.
Lots of really good self-help books too.
Yeah.
If you don't want to,
there's other options. I mean, not that I like think it's a one-to-one to like have a trusted friend you can confide in and like, you know, have heart-to-hearts with, but that is, you know, one other way to like, you know, let off steam and still, you know, express yourself. I mean, obviously they're not a therapist, or, you know, they can't really do all the same things or be quite as objective as professional help could be. But that's also been kind of a go-to for me, just, you know, being able to vent to someone and hear their troubles too, and be like, all right, you know, we're both going through something, but, you know, we got each other's backs. That helps too. So
it does.
I think the important thing is just knowing you're not alone. And even if you don't have even a friend like that to go to, you know, just know there are other people out there that are feeling like you do, and they also don't have people to go to. And that's, you know, like, it's sad, but it's also, I guess, weirdly comforting, and also part of the byproduct that leads people to, you know, form unhealthy habits on the internet where they like seek out other people that are hurting, and then like they find like they cope in weird ways. So I don't know. It's all, again, that's back to the onion. It's all there's many layers that you can't really solve the whole of it at once. You have to peel them one at a time.
Yep. And it's never there's, I think another thing that we always think is that there's like a cure-all. Like once you found a really good friend, it's like, well, that's it. I got my best friend and everything's gonna be great. It's like, no, like life is a series of constant, you know, problems you're gonna have to solve.
Yeah. And also not relying or basing your happiness on someone else. That's a thing that you don't learn usually until like, I think, your first major relationship. But a lot of people I've seen like invest everything into someone else, and then, you know, that's a lot of pressure for both you and that other person. But B, if, you know, for whatever reason it doesn't work out, then like, it's it kind of all comes crashing down, and that's a devastating place to build back up from. So I think being comfortable and happy with yourself is one of the hardest lessons and things to learn. But if you can manage that, then you'll be a lot better off for, you know, wherever you go next. I don't know when this became such a self-help podcast, but I'm kind of liking it.
Yeah. Hey, I like it.
I'm gonna put a theory out there. This relates to something somebody wrote in chat, and I want to attribute it just for the sake of, like, I think another dynamic I've noticed about being the host of a Twitch stream is you kind of are responsible for sentiment directed to people in chat. But so anyway, somebody wrote, Twitch does not attract people with mental health issues, and not just temporary ones, not always immature or misguided. I think it can seem like that. I think it seems like that because Twitch is where people go to relax. And when people relax, they talk about their problems. And then that's when those things start to come out. So if you see these certain spaces as being like, wow, there's a lot of people are really upset there. That's weird. Why is everybody so upset on Twitch? It's not really that. They're upset all the time. They're just not talking about it until they're in a chat and relaxing with their friends. I've often thought that like Twitch has become the kind of like place you go to hang out after work for some people. It's become that friendly bar. And, you know, or for me, the Quake server. You go and, you got a good ping or the person had a good thumbnail. Like, for whatever reason, you stumbled in there at some point. And then it was a nice place. It gave you something so socially that you needed. And then you started to come back. And then, after a couple of days, you start to notice people in chat. You exchange stories. They get to know you. You get to know them. And shockingly, life happens at that point. So I think some of the things that, like, it's easy to see Twitch and it's easy to see all this. It's like, oh, that's interesting. It's over there on the internet. It's a video. It's streaming. It's content with a capital C. No, this is all life, man. It's all people. It's all people living. It just money happened to get in the process somewhere. Yeah. And quarantine certainly has complicated all that. So, Criken, to your point about how, like, man, I don't know how this got here. I'm gonna posit that we all probably needed to talk about it. It's just, you know,
no, you're right.
Yeah. Well, Inauguration Day is, I think, a great day to do it.
It's a day for reflection for sure.
It's a new leaf.
Go ahead.
No, I really loved Lawrence's point there. I think, you know, relating this to wait, was it Doom? No, it wasn't.
Quake.
Sorry, I'm 3 hours of sleep's kicking in. To the Quake server.
You got really close, so I appreciate it.
Is a really great analogy, and I think a lot of people can share that experience. One of the, I don't mean to like gripe about Twitch streaming as a job, but like one of the bigger pressures I think that comes with this line of work is that feeling that so many people rely on this community and this space as a place to relax and hang out and, you know, be welcomed. And it only exists if I personally can find the time, the energy, the motivation, the creativity to go live and put on a show. And if I don't do that, then like, where are they going to go? You know, they're going to be left out in the cold. And like that weight of of people's trust and time is like, it really wears you down over time. And
Criken, perfect segue. Allow me to pile onto this because I was just about to say, with Lawrence's analogy of, you know, going to the pub after work and then you saying like there's a lot of pressure on, I was just about to say, if you are in a Twitch chat and like everyone feels like your friend and stuff like that, establish relationships outside of the Twitch chat. Establish relationships on Discord. Establish relationships over the phone, in person when you can. Obviously, stay safe, but make those real relationships, because the reason I say that is because the Twitch chat's not always going to be there for you. Sometimes it'll be different. Sometimes it'll be, who knows, like Criken will be running a different stream where there's 30,000 people watching, and it's no longer your pub.
Cozy little
And what I'm saying there is, remember that this is the internet and everybody's anonymous. So someone could be putting on a whole front for you. Someone could be like, "Yo, man, I fucking love Star Wars too. Like, let's talk about Star Wars. I totally feel the same way." They could be lying. You have no clue.
Hate Star Wars.
And I hate to say this kind of stuff because it's like one of those things where it's like, I don't want to shatter this illusion, but it truly is something where you need to establish actual real life relationships with people, because that's how you're going to become a better human being. I feel very privileged that I can have people come into my chat and it feels like a home for everybody and that they're all really super excited. But I also continuously say to them, remember, I am not your friend. We have never met in person. We do not have like a friendship outside of this Twitch stream or whatever else. So I'm like, but if we meet and we talk, there is a possibility. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not sure. Like that. Stranger things have happened. It's just more about establishing real life relationships with people.
Boundaries are really difficult on Twitch. I feel like the line in the sand is so blurry on the internet, and especially because I think you're likening it perfectly to, like, you know, it's basically we are the innkeepers, the bar keeps, the bartenders that are putting, I don't know where I'm getting all these, like, from fantasy or wherever these terms are from. But
I love it. I was going to suggest the image of Criken shuffling downstairs in the morning, flipping the close to open sign, going back behind the like always wiping down a glass with a rag.
Yeah, rag over my shoulder. Like,
Exactly. Penny
what
for your
brought
thoughts.
you in my door today?
How was work today?
Yeah. It's like that, but we're behind like a glass screen, so you'll never actually interact with us, and we're thousands of miles away.
You're in a
It's like
cage.
such a we're in a
Floating in the
cage.
air.
Yeah. Oh man, it's such a strange culture and medium, but it's also like pretty magical, I think, if it can, if it works. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, trust me, I feel very privileged that I get to do this for people, and we all sort of get together, and like I definitely know a lot of people in my chat. Like I see them every day, we talk, and like I kind of I have a feeling for their personality, etc. But something I've been talking about a lot recently, just actually over the last year, is a thing called BruceCon, which is always a joke. Like I'm always like, no, we're going to have a meetup. Like we're going to meet up when COVID is safe.
Is this a rival to Criken? Because we talked about this.
It is a rival to Criken, yes.
Oh boy.
It is a rival, and
You had to break this to me live.
Yeah, I didn't know he was doing this either, Criken. I had no idea.
well,
Yeah, and
well,
Lawrence, you're the executive board of assistant director on Criken, by the way. I just promoted you, so
Oh, awesome. Great. Yeah, no, now I'm even more offended.
yeah.
well, I was going to say I don't know that I can compete with LARCon because
Larcon? Lawrence? What is this?
I'm trying to think. I think that's like when everyone shows up to the round one entertainment, except I'm already drunk and on the verge of getting ejected. And then like everyone shows up and I'm like, I told you it was a birthday party. That's LARCon. Everyone else has to talk down security from throwing me out. Because I put a deposit down on the karaoke room already.
Lawrence is like, it's only good for 5 people. And
There's like
Fight
200
amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
Who loves me the most? And he runs into the room.
a $10,000 admission.
I'm just making
anyways.
up numbers.
He's starting to sound like Gilbert Godfrey. I don't know what this version
Yeah, you're
of
right. He
Lawrence
is. Yeah, you're kind of right. He is.
Who loves me the most?
But
Meet me in the karaoke room.
I would have if COVID hadn't happened, I definitely would have done a meetup last year. I would have and it would have been great to put faces to names and do the whole deal. And I'm planning on doing that this year, hopefully, if things shape up. But that will be great because there are a few people in my Twitch chat who I've actually met in real person and can put a face to a name. And so then when I see their names, I go, oh, it's Sam. Like I know that's Sam. I've met him. And that feels more real to me than like me presiding over a bar full of 300 or 400 people and being like, we are all the best of friends. Like, no,
Yeah.
we're not because we've never met. So like, I don't actually. Who knows, dude? I might meet you and you might be a total fucking dick, and then I'll be
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
all right,
the counterpoint to that, though, Bruce, is like, it's really hard to do that at scale.
It is,
and
yeah.
If you're setting out to personally get to know every individual person that is like loyally hanging out and a part of the community, then I think that's just a lot of responsibility on you and on each of these relationships, and I don't think that's a fair expectation to set.
I agree.
Because I think it's a stressful one. So I don't know. I get the desire behind it though, and I think it's a noble one. So who knows? Maybe there'll be a way we can do speed dating with our viewers at some point and just get to know them over like 5
Bruce and I
minutes.
have been in that literal circumstance.
We have.
When there's a line
yeah?
of people and they're shuffling you through and you got to shake hands
Yeah,
and
yeah,
sign
yeah.
things and take selfies.
I've done that. Yeah, I've done that too. Those are nice. Yeah, I do like those because you get to like see a face and like have a very brief anecdotal experience of how they know and love what you do. Yeah, I can see the appeal for that, but that's not quite the same as like having a beer and like getting to know someone,
No,
So,
not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
There is a difference here, though. What's interesting, Lawrence, you just made me think about it. RTX, because Lawrence is right. We used to basically speed dating with RTX autograph sessions where we have to sign 150, people's shirts in 90 minutes or whatever. So we're plowing through them. However, the difference with Twitch is
You're plowing how many people in 90 minutes? Oh my God, Bruce.
I know their usernames. Yeah, Neptune's already on it. So if I see somebody and like they're like, hey, my name's Todd, but my username is blank, I'm like, oh shit. Like I see you every day. All right, now I know, right? Before I didn't have that. So we were making content on YouTube and I for the most part, did not recognize YouTube usernames. But on Twitch, I definitely do because I spend 8 hours a day here.
Right.
So there's a little bit of a difference there, which is kind of an interesting thing that I'm really would like to put into practice when I actually get to meet people who watch. So
I think I try to struggle at all times to not sound too self-aggrandizing. I've seen a lot of that out of content creators about people celebrating themselves and their power in the world. That's not me. But the comments about like how it's kind of like satisfying people's emotional needs at scale is just unsustainable because time is linear and you only have so much of it.
Well,
until we get time dilation or I guess stimulants can help you get more done. There are cheats for sure. But looking at it, I guess more mathematically, to me, and Bruce already hit the nail on the head, and I'm just kind of saying it in different words. I think the idea is then to teach somebody to fish, and this is why I hesitate to sound too self-aggrandizing because I'm still learning how to fish too. But I think like if somebody comes to a community and they need interaction and need socialization, my God, as a world, we're all starved for that right now. We're all fish out of water. I think the goal then is to like, hey, here's a good atmosphere. I can't promise too much of myself to you. But I can promise an atmosphere where you can meet people who can do that or do have the time to talk or can be available in the way that you need them to be. It's all about connecting sympathetic, compatible people. And to some degree, a good bar owner can do that. It's just really good hosting in general.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I turn self-reflective about it. There's no way in a million years I ever thought this would be my position. I struggle to understand the human condition on a second-to-second basis. I have some sort of crisis about being a living, thinking human. So the idea that in any way I could facilitate other people forming positive human connections is almost cosmically absurd to me. But here I am. It is what it is. So if that's the skill that I have, then I will try to exercise it. I guess for me, thank you. Baker's Men said it very, very well. You're a host, not a party goer. That's something that like, when the host tries to join the party, the culture gets a bit strange. So it's not so much like hosts / streamers are on Mount Olympus and everyone else gets to like wallow around in the mud. It's not like that at all. I do think that there are human dynamics like we're essentially recreating what has been done for millennia. It's just happening on the internet instead of in real life now.
Yeah.
But I do think that the same dynamics we inherit are still true, which is that if it's somebody's charge to sort of, conduct the event, make sure everyone's like having a good time, there are certain things that come along with that. One of the things that I'm really fascinated about is how do you train that? How if it's a skill that you can develop, and one that I'll admit I kind of tripped into. Where do you go to study it? How do you cultivate it? How do you get better at it? Yeah,
man, wow, what a weird question. Because I have no idea. I have no clue.
There have to be like. And I'm convinced that the skills are transferable, but there have to be like hosting schools, right? To teach you to be a good host. Like these are the things you do. This is what you say. This is how you talk to people.
I don't know. That is a really great question.
I don't know about Twitch hosting, but like there are definite classes and like vocational schools you can go to for hosting, but it's like generally it's hosting television.
Those are events.
Or events, yeah. It's not this. It isn't what we're doing now.
I think it has to be learned from experience. I really cannot imagine a book on like the subtle intricacies of building a safe environment for people and empathetically knowing what they're, looking for and then like reacting to their tone and then pivoting the conversation to reflect that. Like that sort of stuff is a large part of hosting in my mind. And I've just learned a lot of that, I think, from doing it for years.
Yep.
And it's a really interesting thought, though. For some reason, I don't think I ever really made the connection of Twitch streaming and hosting being the same kind of skill. It's just kind of a different method of it, where you're not taking like literal interpersonal micro reactions and then reacting off of that. You're instead reading off of a chat room and keeping a pacing going for the, you know, the energy and the energy, like the tone of the broadcast. I don't know. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Actually, before I don't have a good segue for this, since this is such an introspective, great conversation. However, this podcast is brought to you by NordVPN.
Hell yeah!
That's my segue. That's all I got. So if you go to nordvpn.com/talk2internet, you're going to get an insane deal. And I want to make sure I get it right. It is you can go to nordvpn.com/talk2internet or use code Talk to Internet when you go to nordvpn.com to get a 2-year plan with a huge discount plus 1 additional month for free. So it ends up being 70% off, and the monthly price is like $3.56 a month, $3.56 a month for NordVPN. So let me run you through. If you guys don't know what NordVPN is, it is basically a VPN is something that protects your internet connection, kind of routes you through a bunch of different spots throughout the world, so that you can, instead of hailing from your normal location, you can hide your IP. You can hide lots of different things behind a bunch of different locations, and do lots of really interesting things. Like, for example, you can unlock Netflix for different regions, which is I think one of the coolest uses of NordVPN. They got a ton of super fast servers. There's 5,500 plus servers in 60 countries. They don't log your data. They have 24/7 customer support, 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you sign up with our code and you don't like it, you can get a full refund. It works in China if you're going to be traveling to China anytime soon. Hopefully, we are all traveling very, very soon. You can up to 6 simultaneous connections. There's a CyberSec suite, which acts as an ad blocker. And then NordLynx has a specific technology that helps with faster connections for VPN, because sometimes VPNs can slow down your connection a little bit, and NordVPN really doesn't. In my testing, it didn't. So NordVPN also has an extension for your Chrome browser, which can basically secure your browsing without having all of your internet connection going through the VPN. So it's compatible with most operating systems, including Windows, Mac OS, Linux, iOS, Android, all of them, unlimited bandwidth. And again, nordvpn.com/talk2internet is what you want to go to there, and you'll get 70% off, $3.56 a month. And one of the reasons that we are doing this podcast now more in the last couple of weeks is because of this NordVPN sponsorship, and I want to make sure I call that out. That's really important that people know that, because NordVPN allows us to make this podcast. So thank you again. Yeah, thank you again, NordVPN. All right, I'm sorry I had to stop that conversation with no good segue.
I think it was a fine segue.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure. What were we talking about? Does anybody remember?
The challenge in trying to intentionally cultivate skill at hosting. How does one
that's
do
right.
it?
Yeah. I have a story.
Ooh.
But I've told it, and I'll tell it again, though, real quick. So, and I say this all the time on my stream, too. Streaming is like being on the radio. I don't know, Criken or Lawrence, you guys were ever DJs? You guys were never DJs, right?
Never. Nope. That sounded like the coolest job in the world, though.
Yeah,
that's
actually,
what this is. When
I was in high school, the first thing, actually, this is interesting. I'm not going to get cut off your story, but the first purchase that I made with YouTube money was speakers and a mix table so I could be a DJ, because I loved the energy and the idea of like curating a playlist and the room's, vibe. But then I was like, why did I do this? I'm not going to just do high school gigs of being a DJ when I literally have a paying career as a YouTuber. And so I just never ended up doing it, but it was definitely a passion of mine. So yeah, I'd love to hear.
I was a DJ for a commercial radio station. So I wasn't like literally spinning records and doing that kind of stuff. I was instead just playing music off of a playlist. So like the program manager would just give us a list of music that we would play for 4 hours, and I'd be like, okay, and then I would just talk in between every other song about. You would announce the music, what it was, and then hopefully you had a funny story about the band or about your life or whatever else. You did promos, you did ad reads all the time. I did an ad read at least once an hour, probably 2 or 3 times an hour. And you were talking to nobody. So you would sit in a room and have a microphone. That's exactly what I'm doing now, except that I get to talk to you guys. But on a normal Twitch stream, like I get kind of read chat, but on radio, you were talking to literally nobody.
Yeah.
So I would just talk to a wall and hope that I was being funny or entertaining or charming or whatever else. And I did it for about 5 years. So
Wow.
over that time, I think I got better at it. And I remember the only time I ever got any feedback, the only time over the course of 5 years was they had these things called Nielsen ratings for radio. And people would sign up for Nielsen ratings, meaning they would literally listen to the radio. And then when they did, they would write it down. And that's how they would actually get ratings for the radio, is they would write down what they were listening to and when they were listening to it. And I got a little form back over the course of my 5-year DJ career. And the form said, I really love Bruce as a DJ. He's great. I was like, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, woohoo! Like I did it.
There's someone out there.
There's one person out there.
It sounds like, in like the apocalypse movie where you put out the radio message and like the radio pops on and just replies with that one phrase, and then you don't hear anything back for another 5 years. You're like,
hold on.
I'm not alone.
I think I saved it. I'm gonna go get it. Hold on.
Oh, that's great. I always really respected the DJs I hear on the radio or heard. I mean, I don't really listen to radio anymore, but that I heard on the radio, I was like fascinated with how they can like modulate their tone and like the pauses they take in order to keep people, listening and waiting and kind of, engaged.
That shit is all connected. It's all connected.
Yep.
So like
it's all connected. It's
funny. Bruce and I were talking about the church. There's so many parallels between the way pastors talk and the way MCs talk. And then the way a good host talks. And I'm doing it right now because I'm on mic. But there's a way that you can talk to make people listen to what you're saying. Like
yeah, it's really funny.
There's a oh shit! Did I just my headphones just cracked weird? Bruce, did you find it?
I did. Here it is. There it is. And then it says here's a comment. I do love the Bruce. He is hilarious and plays great music.
Woo! The Bruce.
I'll take it. I will take this.
Was that your DJ name, The Bruce?
That was my DJ name, The Bruce. Yes, I've talked
I am
about
The
that
Bruce. I love it.
Do you have an ident? Is there still like an ident like baked into your heart?
I'm sure that I've got that somewhere on a CD or something. I'm sure that I have like the Bruce.
Oh, you got a stutter? Oh shit.
Oh, there's got to be Bruce. There's definitely like some sort of production that would say my name on the radio.
What was your brand? What was your audio brand? What was your
did you call the listeners your gooses then too?
No.
What's up, my gooses? And we're back with another episode of The Bruce.
No. No, my identity was just me. I just talked. I was just that was it. I didn't have like a funny shtick or anything. It was just sort of like, hey, it's me. Let's talk. And we did. And I did lots of fun giveaways, and it was great. I fucking loved it. I loved being on the radio.
It's weird to talk about the radio because I feel like the radio was even more disconnected than Twitch is. When it comes to like hosts doing what they do or trying to provide a good space for people to relax.
In terms of feedback or what?
Yeah, audience feedback. So this is in my mind's eye, but you would have parties and stuff where there's someone on the mic, an MC, a master of ceremony, and they would talk to the crowd and like get them ready to just be loose and probably buy some drinks, and like it's their goal to make people have a good time. This is almost like bedrock of hip hop kind of stuff. And then you take that to the radio format where people like Bruce have to somehow make people have a good time, but they have no idea if anyone's listening or what's going on with them or how to like tailor their, like if you're on a mic in front of a crowd, you can feel the crowd and you know what they're feeling and what they're not feeling. You can throw things out there. You get a little call and response, and you can lean into that. But yeah, when you're just in a booth by yourself, that to me even feels more separated than Twitch does, because you're still kind of in a booth. But at least you can talk directly with people, and they give you feedback within seconds, which is crazy. That's one of the things I've never taken for granted. I guess throwing back to something like retail. You have a bad customer, you know that right away, and you live with that. You have a really good customer, you might be like, yeah, that's all right. They might, even if somehow they're righteous people, contact your manager and give you a specific compliment. Then it's still on that manager to tell you that happened. And that happened to me one time in my entire retail career. I remember there was a nice old couple that specifically said that I was very helpful. And yeah, I mean, Bruce, kind of like you, if it were on a piece of paper, I would have saved it, because that was like the one ray of sunshine. Yeah. Well, it's another thing I think is kind of unfair when it comes to the benefits that I think we enjoy, is we get positive feedback immediately. You know, we get to see people expressing their gratitude that there is a space they can go to just kind of relax for a little bit. And that's kind of
speaking of positive feedback, I just got rated from Kind of Funny.
Hey!
Kind of Funny's over. I know, Kind of Funny's over here. Look at that. Welcome everybody. We're just doing a little podcast. Lawrence and Criken and I.
Should we talk about video games or like Batman or something?
No.
We'll talk about whatever we want.
I just watched Tokyo Drift
games.
again.
You love Tokyo
I
Drift?
have bad association with it now. That was the one song that got me my only DMCA claim on Twitch was the Tokyo. Don't say it.
The Teriyaki Boys.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna get dinged.
I think I played it for 30 seconds on a stream 2 years ago, and they were like, "You fucker, you absolute trash. We caught you.
You son of a bitch, you idiot.
You were listening to Teriyaki Boys, weren't you? You piece
fell
of
right
shit."
into our trap. You son of a bitch.
When did you get that? When did you get that claim? When was that?
It was like November, beginning of November.
Really?
Yeah.
And it was 2 years after you played the. Oh my god.
2 years, and it was. They also, okay, just a minute to brag on the DMCA system. The email that I got telling me that I was claimed said, "Here is the clip of evidence of this infringing piece of content." Further on in the email that says, "All infringing content has been deleted from your channel." So when I click on the clip to see the evidence, it says this clip has been deleted. So there is no evidence because they deleted it. And I can't review it, so I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. I sent a counterclaim and I'm like, where's the evidence? Please, I just need to understand what exactly I need, so I can avoid this happening again. Show me what happened. And
so
they're
you
like,
have no idea that it happened. You have no clue.
I remember a year and a half ago that song playing on a stream at some point.
Okay.
Like, that is it though. It's just a distant memory for me, and I have no way of actually verifying it aside from this now permanent black stain on my record, apparently.
Jeez. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Wow. Well, anyways, Kind of Funny. Welcome into the this is like the latter half of our podcast. We had a very introspective talk about anonymity on the internet and trolls and therapy, and now we're talking about DMCA. So
yeah, we had a nice first half. We can get back to that, I guess, if we can find a fun segue. But
the issue is that, like, while these topics are amazing, they don't convert well into YouTube clickbait. So we're gonna have to do a little work here to yank it back to center. Anybody got like a cum story or something? Somebody come on something, in something, on or in, come?
On, in, on, both.
Yeah. Anything? Please? Anybody?
Other than normal everyday cum, I don't think I've really done anything that was like out of the ordinary. You know, like I'm trying to think of like.
I got oranges in my backyard.
All right, well that's not about cum, but yeah.
I mean,
it's not.
You don't know
not
that.
Yet.
We don't know that. Okay.
Hey, you just remind. Okay, here I got some clickbait for you.
Okay. I was only soft fishing for clickbait, by the way. But
no, I know that, but I can get you something. How come? I just realized how come I have not masturbated in my backyard yet?
That's a really good question, Bruce.
Because I have a backyard and it is fenced off. So is it technically okay? Is that not public?
I think it's definitely public.
No.
I've thought a lot about this, Bruce. A lot.
That's my that's my backyard.
It's not public, but at the same time, you have to acknowledge that one, perhaps many people are watching you jerk off, or you're on somebody's like Nest camera. I think that's probably
That's
more
on
likely.
them. That's on them, though.
They want to watch that. It's on them.
No, but
Good.
like, okay, devil, like, see, the same thought. Let's continue it. Let's say I have an apartment that has a balcony over the interstate highway, and every day I go out there and I proclaim my freedom as an American and I jerk off onto the highway, and everyone passing by sees me and they go, "This can't be legal," and I cause at least 3 accidents every single day.
Private property.
So I'm completely in my rights. There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing.
Here's the deal, Criken. Think of it this way: if they're looking at you, they're the ones fucking up. If they're crashing their car, that's
They
on them.
cannot
man.
look with how big my schlonger is, bud.
That's on them if they're watching you masturbate, because they could just drive on by, right? They could and be like, "Hey, that man's in his own backyard."
put on
Whatever
their like
he does
windshield wipers and keep going.
Whatever he does in his own backyard, it's up to him.
Put on the windshield wiper.
The one time I masturbated in the ocean, that was definitely a public, and I could have gone to jail for that. So
That seems
Were
like
you
it would
submersed in the ocean when you masturbated?
be uncomfortable.
No, I wasn't submersed because I was afraid of
were, like,
opening
on
my
a-
pee hole to the ocean.
You were on a dock or something, just sitting there. Your pants around your
You
ankles.
weren't submersed. Why are you just shooting it into the sea?
Sitting on the dock of the bay.
That's what that song is about.
No, I was. I think I was like standing in like waist high water, basically. There was nobody on the beach. I don't know. This was like 15 years ago.
No,
Whatever.
that's valid.
15 is also not even that much. I mean, what your statute of limitations on the internet was what 7.5 years, Bruce?
Yeah.
That's
How
like
long ago?
that's double that.
None of those
That's
videos
double
count
that.
anymore.
Come on, guys. Who hasn't masturbated in the ocean? Raise your
Me.
hand.
I mean,
Oh, all right.
the toilet flushes into the ocean, right? So I'm
Oh,
probably,
Drew!
yeah.
All of us.
It's just one big
You
pipe.
can't-
I've seen
Chat's
Finding
trying to
Nemo. I
cancel
know
me?
what happens.
You can't fucking cancel me, dude.
You can't.
You can't. You didn't. Nobody saw it. You
I
don't know, I
dare
could be lying to you. I could be
Anyone in
lying.
chat,
Why
try
are you
and do
lying
it.
to us, Bruce?
I could be lying to you about this. You never know.
Don't lie.
There's no photographic evidence of it, as far as I know.
Maybe a fish.
I'm gonna ask. Bruce inadvertently, I think, just answered this question. So that means this is now just for me and Criken. Criken, I give you every. If you wanna opt out of this question, no hard feelings.
I opt
But
out.
all right, fair.
Oh wow, that was fast.
I actually respect that. When's the last time direct sunlight, touched your penis?
Oh, good question.
It's been a minute. It's been a while for me, a long time, and that's partially
Direct
because
is in not through a window.
yes,
like-
can't be through a window,
yeah.
can't be through a screen. God's sun in the heavens coming directly down onto your shaft, because that's what I thought of, Bruce, when you talked about jerking off in the backyard. Is
Good
that
question.
it's been a long time since I felt the warmth of the sun directly on my reproductive organs.
Well,
I
then
know-
how do you tan it? No one just goes and sticks it out the window for a nice little, 5 o'clock shadow. That doesn't even make sense. That what I just said. Skip me and come back.
More of a 5 o'clock radiation burn, but I like where your head's at. Let's see. I know I've peed outside, but it's been a long time. And
I peed outside, but it was nighttime recently.
yeah,
Yeah, it's usually nighttime. I mean, you got to be pretty desperate to pee
Oh,
outside during
I know
the day.
when. I know when. All right, I got another great story. I don't think I've told this one on content.
great.
I know this is actually. So this was like 4 years ago. I was driving to see my tax man, my CPA.
How the hell does your dick come out in this story? I can't wait.
I know, yeah, I know. It's great. It's a great story. So the reason I'm saying that the tax really doesn't figure into it, it kind of does, but here you'll see. So I was driving to Santa Barbara because that's where my CPA is. I used to live in Santa Barbara. That's where the guy's been doing my taxes for 20 years. And he's great. And it's an excuse for me to drive to Santa Barbara. So I drive to Santa Barbara and I'll be there for the day. And it's like a 90-minute drive-ish. There was traffic. And I was like, oh, I can make it, no problem. I won't have to pee. And there was a little traffic. It took about 2 hours, 2.5 to get there, which is a long time for not peeing. And so when I arrive, my tax guy's in kind of an office area. There are a bunch of different office buildings. There's no houses, etc. And it's 2 p.m. in the afternoon or whatever. And I'm like, fuck, I have to piss so bad. There are no restaurants around. There are like also parking's really hard to come by where he is. So I find a parking spot. I'm like, I have to go piss in a yard or something. I have to piss in a bush. So I'm running around, and I finally find this perfect alleyway with a locked gate on one side, and like it's open to the street on the other, but nobody can really see. So I hide behind this bush, and I pee. And it's like a 3-minute long pee, and I'm like, whew, boy, do I feel better. And I zip up, walk away. By the way, I wasn't exposed to the public. It was just more of like the sun was shining directly on my penis at that point. And I finished.
Just that phrase out of context is so fucking good.
I walk away and I'm zipping up, and just as I'm walking out of this alley, I hear somebody go, "Hey!" like that. And I turn around and I go, "What?" And it's this guy in scrubs. And I realize that I have pissed on like a doctor's office.
Oh, no.
Like I pissed directly on a doctor's office, and he goes, "Hey, what were you doing back there?"
Hi.
And I go, "What do you mean? What are you talking about? I was doing nothing." And he was like, "You were back
standing
there
by this bush."
And I was like, and I was like, I was nowhere near there, because like he has no proof that I was there. And I was like, I was nowhere near there. I don't know what you're talking about. I literally was pissing. I think it was right next to a window too. Boy, this was really bad. Bad decisions.
He
all
just
around,
looks out his
all
office
around.
and sees your face plainly just pissing and just lie to his face. I was not there.
and he goes, "You were there." And I go, "No, I wasn't. I know. I wasn't there, man. I don't know what you're talking about. You might have seen somebody else. You might have seen someone else over there, but it wasn't me." And I'm walking away, and he's like, "I'm going to call the cops on you." And I'm like, "You can do whatever you want, but you didn't see me over there. I know you didn't." And I'm walking away. He's still yelling at me as I'm walking away. And I'm like, what is this fucking guy's problem? So eventually I like turn the corner and then run. Because I'm like, I got to get the shit out of
I
here.
was there. I just feel like running.
Clearly this guy was going to call the cops. Like, he was not full of shit. He was going to do it. So I made it out. I walked down the street and like kind of like hid on another corner, because I went down to, like, I waited like 5 minutes or whatever, and then came back down to that street he was on. He was still wandering around.
He's looking for you.
proof. Yeah, what was he doing?
Looking for
I was like,
proof?
It's gonna smell your piss. This is your piss. Tasting
Has this guy never pissed on the street before?
piss in my
Like,
mouth.
go
I'll
back-
compare the flavor.
Go back to work, man. So anyways, that happened.
Bruce,
that was probably the last
I gotta
last
do
time,
it to
some
you,
night.
Bruce. I gotta.
Yeah.
So, let's say it's any given day, and you're sitting there, you're streaming, you're having a good time, and somebody bullies you in your chat, and they're like, "This guy's done all this bullshit."
Yeah.
That's Bruce, man. Come on. Like that doctor was sitting there sending his email, and he hears a little tinkle out his window, and he's like, "What the fuck is this?" Gets up, somebody's pissing on my building again. He comes out there, he's like,
Again.
I'm just saying, like,
Here's the thing, Lawrence.
one
I
man's
didn't
troll
change-
is
I
another
didn't-
man's alley pisser.
I didn't change his day at all. I
He
didn't go
was
in there.
trying to find you.
He
I'm
had
gonna
no
have
clue.
to
30
counter
minutes
that.
scouring the
you
block.
definitely,
No clue.
you definitely
He
put a
clearly-
damper on his day. You pissed on his building and then lied to his face, and he knows you pissed on his building. He's questioning his own sanity.
If somebody had pissed on my building, I would think it was fucking funny. I would think it
Okay,
was fucking
that's you.
funny.
This guy, not so much. This guy has a real aversion to pee.
And I was in the bushes, Criken. Nobody knew that I pissed there, and I still
I'm
don't.
with you. I personally, I'm on
still
your
don't.
side in this.
I didn't
but
change
I will
his day
say,
one bit.
this guy
Factually,
has
I
had a
changed-
bad day because of
That's
your
on
actions.
him. That's on him. No, he didn't.
Like going through a divorce, his
This
wife's
guy-
leaving him. This guy's
Yeah, this
pissing on
guy-
my fucking building.
Dude,
I'm in the middle
this
of
guy was
emailing my
having-
divorce lawyer, and this guy
He was
cannot
having a
piss on my
bad
building.
day. He was having a bad day long before I got anywhere near pissing in his fucking garden. Dude,
I don't know. I think
guy-
you should apologize. I think, you should.
I'll never apologize for that, ever.
What? Bruce.
You could. I want a whole crowd of people pissing on my walls.
Oh my God. No, careful what you wish for.
Never apologize, ever. See, here's the thing. As
Look,
a guy,
you know where his practice is.
As a
You
guy,
can
we're
probably
very-
find out. I don't know how long ago this was.
Criken, never.
Dude, okay.
In reality,
think of the
Criken,
Hallmark
you're making me
movie
want to go
moment,
back
though.
and do it again. You're making me want to go back
No,
and
don't piss on his,
wall
don't piss on his wall again.
I'll do it again, bro.
Think of the Hallmark
say
movie moment, dude. He
I'll
gets
do it again.
a letter and it says, "You're right, I was there," and he'll know. And it's just
Got
like a little
tape a letter to his
tinkle on
door
it.
that said, "Hey, bro, it was funny." Come back the next
No,
day.
no, I wasn't trying to be funny. That's the thing, is that like I was like
You were trying not to
genuinely
get arrested.
I was genuinely hurting. Like I was like, fuck, I need to piss so bad. And I was like, I had to go do it. So this wasn't me being like, prank or whatever. Like, this was me just like, I really need to go to the bathroom. So that's why I was like, what is this guy's problem? Like, chill out. This guy has pissed in public hundreds of times. There's no way this dude has never pissed in public. No way. He's a guy.
That's a good question. Has anyone in this podcast, whatever. Thank you. Has anyone not pissed in public ever? Has anyone so civilized? That was the male guy, by the way. We're tight. Has anyone not pissed in public ever?
Not pissed in public ever.
Also, this isn't just a male thing. Most of the female
Ethan
friends I
says
know have
never.
pissed in public.
Reyes says no way.
I don't believe any of you.
No way
Not
XD.
one.
Never.
I don't believe
I do it all the
literally
time.
any of you. Have you ever gotten drunk? If you've never gotten drunk, then maybe I believe you.
I golf, so yes, good. Yeah.
But I guarantee... No, I don't mean in the street. I mean, like, anywhere that's not a bathroom.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the forest counts.
Yes.
Anywhere, the forest counts, like the woods count.
The
Like,
moment
forest
you're
is
camping,
soaked with piss.
it's only you.
Dude,
Yeah.
Think of all the piss on the
if
forest.
you peed in the pool, that's public. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. That's
The
actually
ocean.
more disgusting than what I did.
Yeah, that's true.
The ocean. Yeah. I know you peed it. Don't you fucking chat. Don't you lie to me.
I'm
Don't
a truck
you lie
driver
to
in
me,
Massachusetts, and I deliver heating oil. I piss outside all the time. Whoa! Now, Tony, excuse me. That's an interesting moral imperative there. We got a real you're on the switch tracks of the trolley here situation. So if pissing in public, like Bruce, let's say that you're a world-renowned surgeon, theoretically. You're on your way to the emergency room, wherever they do surgeon things. There is somebody who's dying, and you're the only person that can cut in those brains and save this person.
Absolutely.
But you got to piss. You got to piss real bad.
Right.
It's for the greater good, Bruce, that you pull over, piss
right.
on the side of this doctor's building, that motherfucker. You piss on his building so you can go save a life, all right?
That's right.
How does that prick feel now? Yelling at you,
Wait,
distracting you,
Is
taking
Bruce the
your time.
doctor?
He could have been, right?
Correct.
I was trying to piece this together.
So, yeah, sure. I mean, we can all imagine Bruce as a world-renowned neurosurgeon, right?
Here's the thing. If you are having an emergency, if you need to pee or you're going to damage your body, pee on my lawn. Come on over. I want you. It's okay. Piss goes away, guys. It's biodegradable. It's not a big deal. Come pee on my lawn. It doesn't matter. You can pee anywhere you want. I don't want you to hurt yourself. It's much better that you pee somewhere else than it is to hold up the fact that you, like, if you're obviously, yes, hide your genitals and do all that other shit like I did. But go ahead. Go pee in a bush. It's all right. Not
So
a big
brave.
deal. Not a big deal.
Brave.
Bruce is very brave. I agree. I feel like we should transfer this to the other peeing situation. Also, by the way, we're deep in clickbait territory now, so thank you for following me.
Oh,
here.
of course. Absolutely.
The other situation. So we've heard from acclaimed filmmakers and even Tom Cruise himself about the proper way to enjoy cinema. Let's say that you're 110 minutes into the greatest work of cinema ever, but you have to piss.
Okay.
Do you think Oliver Stone would want you to sit in that seat with a rupturing bladder to appreciate their work? I don't even know if was Oliver Stone one of the ones that was weird about watching movies on the internet. Let's say you're watching Tenet, and an hour, and 90 minutes in, somehow for some reason you're still emotionally invested in the movie. Is it okay to get up and piss, or should you sit in that discomfort until you have experienced this artistic work all the way through?
No, you get up and piss, man.
You always get up. I mean,
All the way.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think as a kid, there was a time where I really wanted to finish a movie and I just sat there when I really had to go and just finished it. And I could not tell you what happened in the latter half of the movie because I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I always go right before a movie starts. And if I feel it even beginning to come on, I'm like, all right, find a time and go, because you never want to be in that situation where you're just like, it's probably almost over, and then you're like waiting for it to end, and then you're not even watching it. You're just like waiting for it to be over, which sucks.
Yep, that's what you got to do. I don't think there is really any scenario. I mean, this is another great story, but I'll just really quickly blow through it. It's we were doing a drinking game at a Rooster Teeth panel at PAX, and I was on that Rooster Teeth panel, and we were doing a drinking game with like vodka and Gatorade, and I'd already had to piss when we started that panel.
Oh no!
Oh.
And I have never ever felt the pain that I felt during that panel because I had to piss so bad, and we were speaking to 3,000 people or whatever, and my kidneys started hurting. And I was like, all right, that's it. And I had to leave. I left the panel to piss. I don't know what my problem was. I should have just fucking gone.
Yeah.
Like I should have gone way before that. But
what did you do about the lav mic is the question.
Oh, thankfully it was a table mic, so they were just sitting there, so I could just walk away.
I think that's always the concern.
I always announce it loudly into a lav when I'm about to piss, just in case there is an audio engineer listening. I'm like, it's my mic, and I'm like tapping it. I'm about to piss. Yeah, you can listen if you want, but I'm giving you a heads up.
You have to get their name first. So you're like, Jerry, here it comes.
It sounds like Bruce in the alleyway, whispering into the window, Jerry, I know you're in there, Jerry.
This one's for you.
I actually have seen some interactions on Nextdoor kind of similar. People complaining about fireworks and then somebody being like, it's 6 p.m., the sun's going down.
Oh, really?
There's a bit of a joker in my neighborhood, and I appreciate it. There's somebody who likes taunting people who complain about fireworks.
With more fireworks? That's great.
Even more, yeah. Firework emojis are pretty popular in this gentleman's posts. I love it.
Yeah, I do like VR streams on Fridays now, and after I'm done streaming, I go to like a VR party with all the VR friends, and we just get drunk in VR. But I use a lav mic for VR, and so I'm like hyper paranoid now that one of these days I'm just gonna get too drunk and I'm just gonna have it on for the rest of the night, and it's just gonna be like a day in the life where you just hear me walking around my apartment pissing on shit, fucking all the stuff I already do, but like that I don't want people to hear, you know?
You don't want people to know, right?
Yeah.
And you like really forcing it out when you're number twoing.
Just imagine that coming from a VR avatar in VR chat. That's so bad.
Criken, as a content creator, you should know that every last shred of your living existence on this earth is to be packaged up, doled out, and exchanged for money. So
that's right.
That's true.
Actually, I've been thinking about that. How to do VR with proper audio capture? Because you do kind of need a lav or some way to like extract the mic from the headset and pass it to a streaming PC.
The Index. The Index has
a great mic.
Has a really good mic.
But how do you get that from one PC to another? That's where my
for like a 2 PC setup, it's not easy.
Lawrence, I should show you how, because I got it working.
Is it virtual audio cables or voice meter or something like that?
Nope. Ooh. I did it all through Windows. Yeah, I did it all through Windows.
Ooh, I thought about setting up OBS and just having it NDI just the audio of the mic and that's it.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I don't know how sync would work there, but
yeah. I got to remember how I did, because last time I did it and it worked, so I'll try it again.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of VR stuff I want to check out. I'm kind of excited because VR, to me at least, it's a big reset about a lot of the templates in game design.
Yeah.
There have been best practices kind of sussed out about everything.
Have you explored VR chat much, Lawrence?
No, which is frustrating because it is kind of the wild frontier.
I think that is right up your alley, based on what I know of your taste in media and next generation kind of digital mediums and platforms. VR chat has some wild kind of leaps ahead of what you thought was possible with like just hangout places or things to do online with friends. It's pretty damn cool. So I'll give you like a tour sometime. And I'm far from the expert, but I know people that know it like the back of their hand, and it is definitely worth an in-depth dive.
I agree. Yeah. For me, it's mostly the technicality of just trying to capture spoken audio in a good way during a stream. So, do you use wireless lavs, Criken?
No.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. No. It's just like I put it in my pocket and then I hook it to my shirt, and then it's connected to my mixer.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Yeah, one
not-
of these days.
not hard.
It's just it's a problem I haven't wanted to bite off yet.
It's not as complicated as you think, but it is. I have to remember how I did it because I did it with phasmophobia. So,
Yeah.
but hey, guys, we did it. We're at 90 minutes. We made it.
Holy smokes.
Cast
We did
complete.
it.
Good job, gentlemen.
Another one
Thank you.
for the basket. Podcast basket.
The podcast. Thanks for NordVPN for sponsoring this episode, as always. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, NordVPN.
Thanks to you, the listener, for tuning in.
Absolutely. Thank you, chats, Lar Chat, Bruce Chat, and Criken person.
Yeah. You got it.
Yeah, Criken's got to get back to sleep. I don't know. Are you gonna when
I
the sun
wish.
hits the
I have-
horizon? Will we have the grand rise of Criken?
Yeah, no, I have meetings now. It's
no.
taken too long, and the construction is still going on in my apartment. I don't know if that came across on the mic, but it has been nonstop. So I don't think I can sleep.
Yeah, maybe I'll hear it
No,
on the back end. But
I haven't heard it at all. It's good.
what are you
Cool.
up to, Bruce? What are you up to after this?
Hitman.
Oh shit! Yeah, Hitman 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Hitman
play that
3.
tonight too.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited.
Me too.
I'm gonna stick to my themes. Oh, good. Nobody saw me spill the drink on myself. Great. Thank you, Nimble Walrus. I'm gonna stick to my theme. It's Weeaboo Wednesday, so I'm gonna play Danganronpa
Wow.
and Dragon Quest 11.
Woo!
Big anime games. Also, I'm 1.5 bottles of champagne in the day, so it's a good day.
Oh man.
is a
How many
good day.
bottles of champagne do you have?
Yeah,
Two.
how many-
Two. So
Oh, okay. All right.
He's-
Okay. All right.
The good day's coming to a close soon.
there's something. There's bottom shelf gin in the back of a cabinet somewhere. I can keep it going.
Bottom shelf
it.
gin.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Get it,
It's
baby.
bad.
What
Get
is
it.
that?
You mix it
What
with
is
enough
bottom
juice.
shelf gin?
It comes in a plastic bag. There's no.
Oh,
Yeah, you just gotta
Bag
poke a hole
gin.
in the bottom and then drain it into something.
they didn't make an opening. It's just like a bag, a completely sealed bag of gin.
And if you pour it out of the top, then all the sediment gathers at the bottom, and you don't have to crunch
Yeah.
on it. It doesn't catch in the back of your
God.
throat.
It's like bathtub gin.
Exactly. Actually, Criken, it's funny you mentioned that. That's where cocktail culture began. The Prohibition era, when people were making alcohol in their bathtubs and their toilets, so it tasted like shit. So they had to mix it with
They
something.
mixed it.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
That's essentially where mixed drinks came from. Before that, people just wanted to get drunk with a mission. After that, it was too unpalatable, so they had to mix it with like sugar and stuff.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Actually, somebody's saying no, that's wrong.
Uh-oh.
You know,
Actually, I made that up, and you all bought it. Goodbye. Ends podcast.
actually, yeah, that's it. Damn, Criken. Thank you for demonstrating the proper way to end this podcast. Now that I've demonstrated my infallible wisdom, it's time to bring the podcast to a close. Thank you all very much for watching, and I guess some of us will be streaming later.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
All
All right, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.